46%. That is how much of the code on GitHub is now written by AI, up from 40% last November. Nearly half the world's software, typed by machines. And at midnight, with no stage and no applause, someone quietly attached a meter to every single line of it. Meanwhile, a screen in Taipei flashed 550 billion, and a stadium roared. One of those numbers actually changes your life this week. The loud one, isn't it? Stay, and I'll show you exactly which switch flipped. Scroll your feed and count. A new flagship model. Tens of billions poured into data centers in France. A chip company reinventing itself live on stage. 6 product launches before lunch. It feels like history is being made every single hour. And that feeling is the product. The roar is engineered. Because while you are busy being impressed by the biggest number on the screen, the changes that quietly rewrite your week make no noise at all. Here's the uncomfortable truth about AI headlines. The bigger the announcement, the less it usually means for you. $1 trillion valuation. A model with 500 billion parameters. A keynote with a standing ovation. These are spectacles built to be shared, not to be used. The things that genuinely reshape how you work tomorrow are small, boring, and easy to scroll past. Today gave us a perfect example of both, sitting right next to each other. So let's do something your feed refuses to do. Let's separate the noise from the signal, using exactly what happened in the last 24 hours. One loud story everyone is sharing. One silent story almost nobody noticed. By the end, you'll never read an AI headline the same way again. Start with the loud one, because it is genuinely impressive, and that is exactly the trap. June 1st, Taipei. On the Computex stage, Nvidia's chief executive walks out and unveils Nematron 3 Ultra, a free, open AI model with roughly 550 billion parameters. The headline writes itself. The largest open model the company has ever shipped. A chipmaker that now builds the brains, not just the silicon. The crowd eats it up, and within minutes it is the top AI story on the planet. And the specs are real. It uses a mixture of experts' design, so only about 55 billion of those parameters fire at once, which keeps it fast and cheap to run. It pushes past 300 output tokens per second, roughly 3 to 6 times quicker than rival open models that crawl at 50 to 100. On paper, it is a monster. On a slide, that 550 billion number looks completely unstoppable. This is the hype machine working exactly as designed. A giant round number, a charismatic founder in a leather jacket, a packed arena, and a promise that you are watching the future arrive in real time. It will rack up millions of views. It will headline every tech newsletter by morning. And almost none of those views will come from anyone who will ever actually download or run the thing. But here is where it gets really interesting. Because if you stop staring at the headline number, and look one column to the right on the actual benchmark chart, the whole triumphant story quietly falls apart. That 550 billion parameter flagship, the one getting a standing ovation tonight, is not winning. It is not even close to first. And the model that beats it should make Silicon Valley deeply nervous. Independent analysts put Nematron 3 Ultra at an intelligence score of 48. Respectable. Modern. Then look up. A Chinese open model called Kimi K2.6, from a lab named Moonshot, sits at 54, 6 full points ahead. It was released back in April. It ranks 4th in the entire world, trailing the very best closed models from Anthropic, Google and OpenAI by only 3 points. America's loudest open launch tonight is chasing a model that is already 2 months old. Sit with that for a second. The single biggest AI headline of the day is a brand new model that is already behind. The number on the screen, 500 billion parameters, was never a measure of how smart it is. It was a measure of how shareable it is. Parameter counts make great thumbnails. They do not make great decisions. And the people applauding loudest are the ones least likely to notice the gap. This is the pattern, over and over. The metrics that earn headlines, model size, valuation, funding rounds, gigawatts of data centers, are the metrics that photograph well. Tens of billions for data centers in France sounds like the future. A standing ovation feels like progress. But size is not the same as impact, and a launch is not the same as a change. The loudest number in the room is usually the most decorative. So if the giant model isn't the story, what is? It's not on any stage tonight. There's no founder, no spotlight, no leather jacket. It happens silently at the stroke of midnight, inside the tools that millions of developers already open every single morning. No press release led with it. And yet by sunrise it had quietly changed the actual cost of building software for an entire industry. And that's not even the strangest part. Because the change didn't add a feature or launch a product. It took something away, something people had quietly gotten used to treating as basically free. If you write code, or you work with anyone who does, this is the headline you should have woken up to. Instead it scrolled past you, buried under a half-trillion parameter fireworks show. Here it is. As of June 1st, GitHub Copilot, the AI coding assistant used by millions, switched its entire billing model. No more flat monthly fee that quietly absorbed however much you used. Every plan now runs on metered tokens, a pool of credits tied to your subscription price, drained by exactly how much you asked the AI to do. The all-you-can-eat era of AI coding ended overnight, with no Keynote at all, and it didn't stop there. At almost the same moment, OpenAI let a launch promotion quietly expire on its $100 a month tier. No price drop, no announcement, but the effective usage on its coding tool got cut roughly in half, from 10 times the base plan down to 5. Millions of developers woke up paying the same money for half the output. That is not a footnote. That is the real economics of AI, finally showing its face. This is what actually matters, and it is the opposite of a spectacle. For 3 years AI felt magical partly because it felt nearly free, flat fees, generous limits, venture money quietly eating the bill. Today, in the last 24 hours, that illusion started to end. AI is becoming a metered utility, like electricity or water. You will pay for every token. And that single shift will reshape how software gets built far more than any half-trillion parameter model. Now stack one more quiet number on top. On GitHub's own platform, AI now writes about 46% of all committed code, up from 40% just last November. Nearly half. So freeze the picture. The machines are already writing half the world's software. And at midnight someone quietly attached a meter to every line. No stage. No applause. Just the actual future, arriving through the back door. Here's the reframe. The headlines optimize for awe. The reality optimizes for friction. Pricing limits who pays, who gets cut off. Awe gets the views. Friction runs the world. The model on the Taipei stage is a fireworks display. The billing switch inside your coding tool is the plumbing. And plumbing, not fireworks, decides who can afford to build the next thing and who quietly gets priced out. So next time your feed erupts over a record-breaking model or a $100 billion bet, ask one question. Does this change what I can do tomorrow? Or does it just change what I share today? The biggest number is almost never the answer. The answer is usually 3 scrolls down, written in the language of fees and limits, with no exclamation marks attached, because the companies understand this perfectly. The giant launches are for you. The audience, the believers, the share button. The quiet pricing changes are for them. The margins, the burn rate, the moment venture subsidies stop and someone has to actually pay. When a story is built to impress you, you are the product. When a story is built to charge you, you are the customer. Tonight handed you one of each. So here's the switch I promised you at the start. While the world watched a half-trillion parameter model take a bow in Taipei, the thing that actually changed flipped at midnight with zero fanfare. The flat rate era of AI quietly died, and the meter switched on. The machines now write nearly half our code, and starting today, every single line has a price. That is the real headline. It just never got a stage. Hope you got something out of this. Hit subscribe for more in this lane, and we'll see you in the next